Ashe, Ma'at Hotep. This is The Truth May Hurt. My name is Raymond Witcher, and I am your host. I'm going to do part two of Why Are Europeans More Afraid Now Than the Last 500 Years? When I was doing part one, I mentioned some things that I didn't have time to show you data or to go in more detail that are very important. So I decided to just do a part two, and I need to do it now while it's fresh. So this is part two of why are Europeans more afraid now than the last 500 years. I mentioned things about population control, how Prince William and Bill Gates and a lot of the 1% elite are concerned about world population. It's not that there are too many people on Earth. It is more that there are less white people on Earth. And in reports of the census and things like that that track race, they have also done things to include some Hispanics and some Egyptians as white. Okay, so they've done things to keep a higher white population, but as far as the known first white people, their race is falling. Their population is dwindling. Okay, so I want to show you a few things on that, and we're going to look at some things, and we're going to get out of here. So we know that the real number of how many people are on Earth is 8.2 billion. This estimate comes from the United Nations World Population Prospects, which analyze demographic trends and projections. The population is expected to grow until the latter half of the century, peaking at around 10.3 billion in the mid-2080s. Okay, we saw that Africa has I think it's 1.2 or 1.4 billion. Let's pull that up. Okay, so Africa has 1,504,539,941 people. Okay, African population is equivalent to 18.83% of the total world population. Okay, that number varies, and I'm going to show you down in the presentation, because when you really identify that everybody on Earth is a descendant of Africans except the European race, then Africans make up over 80% of the world population. So I'm trying to show you what the concern is for those who profit from having a race-based society. It is only a few people, and it's not the white population. Okay, don't take what I'm saying out of context. It is the few that have maintained a status at the top, that we make the decisions and all of these things, that have benefited from there being a world race society and status. Okay, they only make up like 7% of the world population. Well, when you categorize that genetic profile, but out of that genetic profile, only 1% of them make up this elite group. Okay, so we know that the world population is 8.2 8.2 billion. So almost 1.5 billion of that population is on the African continent. Okay? So we know that. Okay, so if we come here and say, what is the population of what population of blacks make up the Caribbean islands? So we're looking at now, because we just established that 1.5 billion people, more than 1.5 billion people of the 8.2 billion people on Earth are on the continent of Africa. Small percentage of those are white, but the majority are black. Okay, so when we look at what percentage of the population of blacks are in the Caribbean islands, 95% of the population is African descendant in Haiti. Jamaica is 92% identify as black. Dominican Republic, roughly 73% of the population is of African descent. Though this includes a mix of ethnics. Barbados is 90% population is black. Trinidad and Tobago, approximately 37% is black. Okay, so we're talking about world population. I'm gonna come here and edit this in. I left this one page out, or this one site out. And what I want to show you here is how many black people are in the world, countries with over 1 million black residents. Okay, so when we come down and look at this on the scale, see at the bottom, here's 5 million, 10 million. So the United States has over 45 million, maybe like 42, 43 million people. Brazil has about 15 million. Haiti has about 11 million. Colombia has about 7 million. So here you're counting up. So the whole video is about why Europeans are more afraid of blacks now than any time in the last 500 years. It's because our population has not dwindled and theirs have. Okay, when you talk about all of the atrocities that have been put upon the black race, colonization, Hellenization, oppression, slavery around the world, and we still have these kind of numbers. And this reference date is, this survey or this statistic came from 2020. So 5 years later, this number has grown. Okay, but it gives you an idea of why I'm saying the end of colonialism, the end of slavery, these things didn't destroy us. We've rebounded and we are growing, while the white race is dying, basically becoming extinct. And all of the laws and the things that they put in place back in the 1600s and so on, when they created the human race game, the human race status, the better than, less than status in society, it was to protect their human race. All right, so I'm gonna edit this in and we're gonna keep it going. Okay, and when we look at the statistics, what percentage do whites make up of world population? Whites make up approximately 8 to 10% of the world population. Okay, that's a very small amount. So I'm showing you why European countries that have gotten their wealth, their riches, their prosperity, built their cities, built their heavens here on earth, that have built it off of their raping the African country of its resources and colonizing and enslaving the indigenous people around the world, not just Africa, are more afraid now than they've ever been in the last 500 years is because slavery is ended, colonization is ended, neo-colonization is ended. Their system that has brought them all of their wealth has fallen apart. Now, keep in mind that it's only 8 to 10% of the world population as a race that did this to the world. Out of that 8 to 10% of the European white population, less than 1% of them are the ones that orchestrated this, that have created this plan, maintained it, and now they are losing their grip. Let me show you this right quick. All right? That's why they are afraid more today than they have been in the last 500 years. The only part of the system that is still in place, that is doing its job, is religion. Because it's keeping your mind believing that you have a savior, okay? And if you don't have to worry about anything. Jesus is gonna fix it. Allah is gonna fix it. It's mythology, okay? That mentality is the only thing that's holding you back now. Because as long as you believe that all I have to do is wait on the Lord and I'm gonna get my reward in heaven, you're not gonna be the productive person that you need to be in this recovery of the African nation and black people. Because you've already surrendered to the church and to what pastor says, who's getting rich, okay, who's making the money. The church is getting all of the money. You know, when you need money, they tell you, I'm gonna pray for you. But when the church needs a roof, they have a building fund. Where's all of that confidence in the prayer that when you need something to feed your family, they tell you, well, we're gonna pray for you. But when the church needs a roof or the church needs maintenance, they don't tell you, the congregation, will you pray for us because we need to get the roof fixed? They don't tell you, you know, we need to build something more to the church and don't give us any money, just pray for us. They don't tell you that. But they don't give you money when you need it, okay? They're telling you God does everything. Well, why doesn't he do it for you when you need a roof on the church? Okay, so I want you to be aware of how this game is played and what's holding it together and what the last threads are. It's religion, okay? So why are the Europeans so afraid today? Look at the birth versus death rates for white people. Birth and death rates among white populations can vary significantly based on geographic location. All right, but when you come down here, let me go down. When you come down here, all right, while there are more deaths than births among whites, okay? In the United States, most the European countries, the people are dying more than people are being born. And it tells you the finding that made headlines from this week's Census Bureau release of new national and state population estimates that there are now more deaths than births among non-Hispanic whites. is a valid illustration of the rapid long-term growth in the number of older Americans. So it's telling you that less babies are being born, white people are living longer, but they are not at childbearing age. So their life is not adding to the population. The statistics also show that because of interracial marriages now, white women are having less white babies because they're marrying blacks, they're marrying Asian, they're marrying Latinos, you know. So as long as they could control and make laws, because they had laws that black men and white women can't marry, or black, white can't marry, no interracial marriages. It was to protect the white race, is what it was. Okay? I don't know why it's all of this fear and this paranoia that there just has to be a group of white people, because white people have deemed themselves the ones worthy, that God put them here to rule everyone else. And it's what is it, Destiny? Can't remember the name of it. And as long as they could control that narrative, they were able to control the population. But now that interracial marriages are popular and they're just not having white babies. So they have included other ethnic groups in the white race to keep a white population. But it's falling apart. Okay? So you can look these things up. I'm just showing you why they are afraid now, for several reasons. Number one, white women are having children. Number two, they can't rape the soils and the people of Africa. So when we looked at in the previous video that the average age of the whole continent of Africa, that's 54 nations, the average age is 20 years old. That means that we are repopulating the earth. As the Bible says, we're repopulating the earth with our seed unto the earth, and we're multiplying and replenishing the earth, because the Bible says, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And we're doing that. And this category of people that have identified themselves as white is not. So if they can't control having white babies, then what do they have to do? They have to control how many black babies are being born. They have to be able to limit the birth rate of black people. And if they can limit it on the African continent, they can achieve their goal. See, they're wasting their time trying to achieve that goal here in America. Well, they're going to try to do it anyway, but it will have little effect on the numbers. They'll try to do it, especially here in America, because they have more control of the black people in America. They will try to do it in Jamaica. They will try to do it in Haiti, in the Caribbean islands. They will try to do it because they are under American influence. But if they could just do it across the continent of Africa, they would achieve their goal. So be careful, okay? Take control of your foods, your consumables, because that is the primary way that they can get it into your body, okay? So you're looking at the fall of a white race is what you're looking at, okay? That's what you're looking at. You're looking at the demise of a people that have been able to rule and dominate, oppress, enslave, colonize, victimize, and do the most horrible acts. Now, just look at the history, not what's in the books. Get out of the books and look at the real history. Go back and look at my videos on the African Holocaust, the Congo Holocaust, the Jamaican Holocaust. You know, Hitler killed 6,000 Jews in what, 5 years, 6 years? And he is worldwide known as the worst man to ever live. Leopold killed 20 million Africans in his Holocaust throughout Africa, and his name isn't even on the list with Hitler, Stalin, and all of these other murderers that murdered white people. Leopold killed more than them all together. And actually, when you count all of it, the numbers of our Holocaust never stopped. Don't want to change the focus. So our extermination, if anybody had ever done to the white race what was done to the Africans, they wouldn't be here. If we were vengeful people and we wanted to do to them what they did to us, they wouldn't be here. But we've never done that, okay? We've never done that. And that's the part that you don't want to pick up. You just want to be able to protect yourself, and you want to make sure that you're respected and never disrespected again. That is all that you need. And it's not one out of revenge, it's one out of right. This is your right. This is our right. We just want back the rights that you took. We don't want your revenge. You see, their fear is, now if you go back and read Christopher Columbus's diary, his son Diego, his other son Fernando, and another man named Hernando de Soto, their diaries, when they went around Earth doing their exploration, and they noticed, and they, in their diaries, they had to keep diaries because they had to write down everything they saw and everything they witnessed and report it back, the diaries, to the kings and the queens so that they would know what they found on their voyage. Well, they noted that white people have the smallest group of people on Earth, and that there are more Africans than anybody. And if the Africans ever overthrow the Romans, the Greek, and the Europeans, they will do to them, they will do to the whites what the whites did to the Africans, and they became afraid. So they that's when the Peso family created religion and Christianity, Judaism. That's what they did. Okay, so now we're at the stage now that the only thing that is still holding this system in place is the religion that was beat into your ancestors, that was passed on to you. It was never a free will. Okay, it was indoctrination. It was violence. It was murder. It was hanging from trees. They got this where it was acceptable in your head. You know, it was easier for a parent to condition a child into this than to watch them be hung from a tree, than to watch them be beaten to death because they didn't accept this. That's what the Europeans did all throughout Europe. Anybody that didn't accept it, we kill them. Well, it was easy for a mother to say, I love my child and I'm gonna take him to church and teach him about the Lord. You had to do what you had to do to survive. But we're not in the survival mode now, okay? We're in the recovery mode, okay? And we have to get out of that mental slavery. Okay, so I'm just showing you so that I can tie everything together of why there is this fear. And remember, they've had this fear since back in 300 AD or before 300 AD. This fear, they've always had it, okay? Because they thought everybody's heart was like their heart was. Cruel, vicious, you know. You got to remember, none of these European people were getting along. They were killing each other. They were always at war with each other. They never knew peace. And if you read Christopher Columbus's diary, he said that when he got here and saw the African people, the same that he saw in Egypt, speaking the same language, they following the same customs, with the same spirituality, he said they were so kind and giving that you usually didn't even have to ask for anything. Because when they saw you needed it, they just gave it to you. And he said they will be easy to conquer because they have such a kind heart. They noticed that they didn't have the evil, callous hearts that they had over here in Europe. Okay? When they went into Africa, they noticed that the Africans didn't have this hardened heart that the Bible speaks of when Moses asks God, what do I tell the Pharaoh? He said, well, you tell him, you came to free my people. But God said what? He's not going to free my people because I'm going to harden the heart of the Pharaoh so that he won't let them go. Now, why would God, who is sending Moses into Egypt to free his people, why would the last thing that he does is, rather than softening the Pharaoh's heart so that he would let his people go, why did he choose to harden the Pharaoh's heart so that he wouldn't let them go? And then God had to kill a whole bunch of people. That's exactly what he did. Go and read it. Okay? He hardened his heart. So here you have a people on earth with such a hardened heart that when they come across the African people that didn't have a hardened heart, they were just easy victims because they weren't going to soften their heart. So when we look at the political arena in Africa and here in America, and I don't know anything about Europe, and we see these black people that are in political power at the head of an African nation, or here in America that have been elected into the United States Senate and the United States Congress, and they'll stand up in front of a camera here in America like Tim Scott and say, there is no racism here in America. And then Donald Trump treat them like dung on his shoe. This is what I'm talking about. When you can get blacks to harden their hearts against blacks, then they have converted you into them. This is why you have the violence that we have here in America with the black youth against the black youth and the inner city gangs that they have allowed, or I'm not going to say they allowed, but they don't know what happened to them, is that through the indoctrination, through music, movies, the video games, all of these violences, they've conditioned your mind to have a hardened heart, to have a killer mentality. That I can do to you what I just saw this video game do to them on the video. It becomes a reality. So there's all kinds of ways they can harden your heart. Okay? And all of these things are done to eliminate you either from the face of the earth by death or removing you into the penitentiary and jail where they don't have to deal with you. Okay? So this is why they are so afraid of us now, because they have been able to control us in America because they're the dictators. We don't have any news. We don't have any news station that are owned by black people. Bill Cosby wanted to buy NBC, and that's when all of this stuff came out about him raping women. Up until then, nothing came out about Bill Cosby until he wanted to buy NBC. And they said, nigga, you have lost your mind. It's okay for you to rape anybody you want to rape, but now you want a news media where you can control the media? Nope. We'll send you to jail. Okay? So here in America, they control the Jews, control the news media, the newspaper, the record labels, so that these black artists, in order for you to get paid, the only way you can get paid is to make the kind of lyrics that are gonna increase the mentality, negative mentality within the black mind. Okay, so all of these are ways to eliminate you and population control. You can't make babies in jail. You can't make babies when you're dead at 18, 19, 20 years old. You're done. And when they can get us to do it to ourselves, they have converted us into a hardened heart, where it doesn't take anything for me to walk up to you and shoot you and kill you. I don't feel anything. Okay? You have a hardened heart, and that's why the Bible is talking about the hardened heart. The Pharaoh is only a metaphor. It's only an allegory. It's not true. The one that this God's heart is hardened is yours, your children's. It's not no Pharaoh in Egypt. Don't miss the message. Okay, all of this is psychological programming. You know, it is psychology that we have never learned how to use. Okay, and we have been now. It wasn't like this before the 60s, before 1968 when they killed Dr. Martin Luther King. We were not killing each other. Not every home, but 80% of the black homes had a black father in it. They had a job. He was working. He was providing for his family. It was a family structured home. And the United States Eugenics Program said, we have to get the black fathers out of the black homes. So, to get welfare or public assistance, a father couldn't be in the home. So who became the father? If the father is no longer in the home, who's the father? The government is the daddy. The government is the husband. The government is the one that said, wife, you can make a choice. You can keep your husband in the house and get nothing, or you can put him out and we'll give you money. So who's her husband now? The government. So why would a mother be so shocked when the daddy says, I want to bring my child home? Not the father, but the daddy. The government, when they come and lock your child up and put him in jail, that's his home. That's the home that your daddy made for your son. Not the father that you threw out, but the daddy, that sugar daddy that you chose over your husband to get a little money. And then your children, when your daddy comes home and says, I'm taking my son to jail, I'm taking him home. Okay, you got to understand the psychology. Okay, your husband just became the government. Your child's daddy just became the government. Okay, and when the daddy is putting out everything to destroy your child's mind, you need to be aware of it. You know, we're at a combustible point now that if something isn't done with the youth's mind here in America, we'll never come out of it. Not as a people, okay? But we can, okay? But we have to not ignore things and believe that God is going to fix it, and I don't have anything to worry about it, and I'm gonna pray on it. Okay, that's not going to get you out of it. You're not going to pray your way out of what you prayed your way into. So all of this is why they are panicking. That they are panicking about the world population, because the black people's population is exploding, and the white deaths exceed births in the majority of U.S. cities. They've done a great job of extending our lives here in America. Okay, the problem is that the black people, we're getting older too, but we're still making babies. Not at our old age, but our children. We've been producing children throughout the generations. Our population has never fallen to a negative number. But now the white population has fallen to a negative number. And the people that are in the white population, the majority, like 80, 70% of them, are too old to have children. That's what the problem is, okay? Is that out of the 7% or the 8% of the white population that's on Earth, especially here in America, 60 to 80% of that population is too old to have children, number one. Number two, the white women and white men that are in the childbearing age are interracially marrying. White men are marrying black women, and white men are marrying black women, and white women are marrying black men. So where are the white babies coming from? Out of that productive age group of white people. It's vanished. It's a negative number by many. So for the aristocrats and those that want to keep their system of power and control, they're in a panic. Prince William, Bill Gates, and these people in the eugenics programs, they're trying to come up with all kinds of engineered ways to control our population and increase their numbers. Okay? So be very aware of it, understand it, and know that they are right now panicking on what to do. You know, what can we do? Okay? So, you know, I'm just bringing this out because I didn't want to leave it out. I couldn't put it in the previous video, but these are the numbers, these are the reasons, and now we have to get ahead of them in this thought process so that we never find ourselves back in this situation. And to think you're going to get out of this without getting rid of Jesus and getting rid of the Bible and staying out of that church, you're not. You're not. Because it's what got you in here. The Quran, Islam is what got you. The Africans that were conquered and Islam was forced on them, you're in the same boat that the Christians are that had Christianity forced on them. Until you make a conscious, make it conscious and that you're aware that this is the last thread that's holding it together. And if we don't get out of it and put the focus on ourselves and the continent of Africa, because as soon as Africa really establishes itself and recovers, every other black nation is going to recover. Okay? But to try to recover Jamaica when Haiti is sitting next door and Cuba is sitting next door and they're not liberated, what good has it done? It doesn't factor in when you're talking about a people. Yeah, it factors in for those that are in Haiti, in Jamaica. But the people next door in the Dominican Republic and Haiti didn't benefit them. But everything that happens in Africa, when it happens, is going to benefit every African nation on earth. All right, I'm going to say Ashe. Everybody have a great day.